Good morning, HoustonFloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Neil Poland, the CEO with Mullican Flooring. Neil, how you doing?
Very good this morning, Kemp. Good to hear from you.
Yes, good to talk to you. We needed to clear up. We confused the market last week. We ran a story on the quick drop of lumber prices. We were talking about the timber, the two-by-four soft lumber, and not the supply that you use to make hardwood flooring. A few people called you and said that, hey, if the prices are going down, I need to see your prices going down, and that's not what's going on. I want to clear that up. But first, let's talk about business. How is business?
Business is very good since last July or August.
Everybody's been discounting the COVID year as a crazy year. So would you say that 21 going to be better than 19?
Yeah, 21 will be better than 19, yeah.
Good. All right, let's talk about the pricing for your raw materials. Give us a feel for what's going on there.
To be fair, because during the pandemic, lumber was weak in April and May, but if you go back to pre-pandemic, our lumber prices for flooring grades of lumber, have increased, I looked at it yesterday, 83% since that time. And that's an all-time high, so it's been a tremendous acceleration.
Let's talk about the causes of some of that. Most everybody knows, anybody that's in manufacturing knows it's hard to get labor. So sawmills are having trouble getting labor. That's one factor. There's also a couple other factors. The wine and bourbon business, they like that white oak too. So pricing for certain species is kind of through the roof, right?
Yeah, very good point. First, if you start with demand, obviously remodeling led the way out of the pandemic. I mean, that boom started in the second half of 2020 and has continued into 21, and then obviously new home construction has accelerated. So you got those two drivers. Also in the lumber business, Asia last year, demand was weak during the pandemic and even after the pandemic, and has strengthened in 2021. So that's the demand element. But most of this is due to the supply. As you mentioned, labor.
Yeah.
Sawmills, you go back to the pandemic, a lot of them idled, and then as they tried to bring people back to work, we had the unemployment bans last year, which hurt tremendously in terms of bringing the production back online. We were in a hole. Last year, the hardwood lumber industry produced about 5.6 billion board feet, and in 2019, they produced about 7.6 billion board feet. We're hoping this year that the industry will be back up 6 to 6.5 billion, but obviously with increased demand, that causes a gap in supply and drives prices higher.
Yeah.
Other issues, hardwood lumber in the very south, some of those mills, because pine was so doggone hot and increased 400% in price, those sawmills switched to pine because their profit margins were so much better than red oak, white oak during the expansion after the April and May downturn. So that had a big impact, squeezing the supply even more of hardwood. And then obviously the labor has affected everybody. I mean, it's also affected the flooring business and our ability as an industry to produce enough flooring, given the labor shortage.
So a quick summary of what you're saying is that obviously demand's way up and supply's down for all the reasons you've listed. And at Mullican, you have basically three different product lines. You have solid hardwood, you have engineered hardwood, and you also are in the LVT business. So on the engineered hardwood side, you use saw and face, which is a veneer, a lumber product, and you also use plywood, and plywood's up. So that's another whammy, right?
Yeah, all the core products for engineered flooring, those have accelerated 25, 30, 40% this year. So that's causing strong increase in the cost of engineered flooring. So you've got inflation everywhere that's creating unprecedented price increases.
Yeah. I understand that birch plywood has gone from 38 cents to 65 cents a foot, so that's just one example.
Yeah, that's a very good example. The HDF, that's also increased tremendously. Veneer has also begun to increase quite a bit in the last 90 days.
Let me ask you another question. You have the Axis Core brand. You're in the LVT business. I know that hardwood is still a majority of your business, but you do get a feel for what's going on. One key question is, through all this, I mean, for a long time, LVT was taking share from real hardwood products, and I'm hearing from several people that that's kind of settled down, that LVT's found its marketplace. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, with the initial introduction of LVT, whichever years you want to pick, 2017, 2018, there was a craze to where, LVT was hurting wood overall. I mean, all price points where people were just loving a new product in the story. And I believe that as that has settled out, yes, LVT impacts hardwood flooring on the low end, but we as an industry have bounced back very strong in the mid to upper price point category of wood flooring, because people realize that it is still the best value in terms of making an investment in your home. And wood has been around for hundreds of years, and a lot of wood floors that are out there throughout the country have been installed for 100 years. So it's a tremendous value. Number one upgrade in floor covering, and continues to hold that position.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard from several people. Okay, Neil, well, I appreciate you helping me clear up this pricing issue when it comes to the raw materials it takes to make real hardwood flooring. Again, been talking to Neil Poland, the CEO of Mullican Flooring, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.